so, so much. I love you so, 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 so much. I love you so, 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 so much. I love you so, 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 so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life, well, that's another. Which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online, and you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads, welcome back to another episode. Welcome, welcome. So happy to be here with you guys to connect and grow, learn. In the case of today, read. I'm going to read a little bit from Oneness today. Feeling like picking up some what Oneness is putting down as far as wisdom in regards to the concept of harmony and the essence of difference that sustains it, and how the heaven on earth of prophecy will come to be. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that stuff today. Feeling very, very good. Just got back from 7:30 a.m. yoga class. I love yoga. If you guys haven't tried yoga, you've been thinking about doing yoga, maybe you're intimidated by yoga, you should, what I would recommend, actually getting on, in my case, I go to a studio that's a couple blocks from my house, and it certainly helps me to have a class to attend, a time, and someone forcing me to do the postures and flows. And, but that being said, if you guys aren't on Gaia, get on Gaia. For 99 cents for the first month anyway, and there's so many different yoga classes you can do right there in your living room. So definitely recharges you. It's a great low impact sort of workout. I definitely break a sweat, depending on what kind of yoga you're doing. Of course, there's so many different variations, but and class levels and things like that, but there's tons and tons to choose from on Gaia. So just, kind of throwing that out there. I love it. It's, definitely got me feeling good today. And before I jump into this chapter, I'd like to read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love my iTunes reviews. Not only do they help us to reach new people, but they fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. And I have a wonderful review here by Peaceful Mom 2. I love this podcast so much. This review is long, in capital letters, overdue, because I've been listening to the Positive Head podcast since the beginning. So I'm sorry, but better late than never. Smiley face. I listen daily, and I'll even go over my favorite episodes as many times as I feel is necessary. This podcast has something for everyone. I'm so grateful for Brandon, the guest, and all the listeners. My 3-year-old son even sings the intro, "I love you so much," randomly throughout the day, and it's my reminder to be positive and to spread love. So thank you for even having an impact on my little boy. Well, you can thank Sean Wasabi for that, who wrote the song. Actually, I think I told you guys I ended up camping with his manager just randomly right next to me at One Love Festival. in Lake Paris, California a few weeks ago. And he's awesome, cool guy, Max. New friend, old friend, probably soul family. You know how it goes. And so I'll pass that along to him too. And he can let Sean know that your little boy is a fan. And it makes me really, really happy to hear you guys sharing with little ones. Can you imagine if someone had been teaching you these ideas from childhood instead of a lot of maybe limiting belief systems or fear-based belief systems that a lot of us were spoon-fed? And of course, that's okay. It's cool. It's our journey, right? It's part of our journey to overcome those things. Most of us, a lot of us listening, we've got to unlearn, right, what's been taught to us in many cases, for many of us. But imagine like this new generation, these old souls and young bodies that are coming through. A lot of them are just so crystal clear, and they're here with parents like Peaceful Mom 2 here, who are feeding them high vibe information during those formative first 6 years are so crucial. So everything is going to be built on this understanding of his, innate power and divinity. And wow, can you imagine? It's going to be a beautiful world. It is a beautiful world now, but these guys coming up, man, hold on, watch out. Exciting. And if you guys, by the way, speaking of, she mentioned here, loving all the listeners. I'm assuming, I don't have the person's first name who made this review, assuming they're in the Facebook group. And if you guys aren't in the Facebook group, it's such a magical group of people that are coming together, soul family, P-heads, as I affectionately call you guys, coming together to support each other, just support, answer questions for each other, connect in real life. So if you guys go to the Facebook group Positive Heads with an S, you will be admitted into it's a closed group because we want to be able to protect people who are just, a lot of people new on their spiritual journey and so forth, really want to feel like they can open up with questions they may not want the rest of the Facebook world to see, right? So, join us on Positive Heads, please, please, please. Oh, also, one other thing I just wanted to throw out, a new company or new to me that I just came across that I really like what they're doing. And it's one of these things that is such a great model because it's something that you're already doing that you can just sort of switch from using Google or Bing or whatever search engine you use. I guess most people use Google, right? But this is Ecosia, ECOSIA.com. And basically what they do is every time you search, they plant a tree. So it looks like they've got I'm looking here, they've already planted 15 million trees. If you go to ECOSIA.com, you can set it as your default search, even so it's in your address bar on Google Chrome, in my case, what I use. I just switched today and I'm going to be using this. They're taking, it looks like I was looking at their financials, like half or so of their resources that are generated from ad revenues and whatnot are actually going to planting trees. So super, super cool. Something that's super important as we clear cut ancient forests to burn and use wood for whatever things that we really could be using hemp or something better. But in the meantime, instead of being against that, let's be for planting trees, right? So I love that. And I just wanted to throw that out there so you guys can become aware of it and start using it too, if you feel so inspired as I was. All right, jumping right in, chapter 42 of Oneness. Oneness is a book. If you guys are just joining us for the first time, you've never heard me reference Oneness or read chapters. It looks like it's about 44 chapters or so long, so this is near the end. And what I've done over the last, year, every now and then, when I feel inspired to read something from Oneness myself, I will just pick a chapter because you can really read it in any order and start reading. And I find it to be a very, very powerful guidebook, almost as I reference it as the handbook for the ascension process, because that's really what's happening with us here. I think of my dear friend Bree, who's a listener who I actually got to meet down in Miami when I was down there a couple weeks ago. And, 22 years old, just starting on her spiritual journey. You can just see, and as I've talked to her, her vibration has been elevated, and it's like everything looks different to her. Everything is feeling, new. Everything, there's an ascension process. There's a vibration elevation. And with that comes an expansion of awareness, expansion of maybe things that you once looked at in a certain way. You're looking at it in a different way. And it's a powerful, powerful process that we all go through in our own ways. Some quicker than others. I've had a slower burn, as I like to, the long view. Been really on the spiritual path for 20 years or so now. But there will be some of you guys who are, a month in and catch right up where I'm at, right? Or, everyone's different. Every soul's different. So really depending on what kind of experience you wanted to have in 3D and where you're at in your evolution, when you start looking at past incarnations and that sort of thing. So it's a fascinating thing. But as any journey, having a handbook to understand what the heck's going on, what can I expect next, is certainly helpful. And that's how I view this book. It was received and transcribed by Rasha, it says here on the front. So it's channel material. As I often have, Abraham on as a channel. I had Bashar the other day. I have a lot of that sort of stuff on, not because I channel or have had that experience or even care whether it's really real or not. What I found is a lot of the people claiming to channel material, their information is so high vibrational, so informative, so profound, touches my soul, speaks to my soul in such a deep way. I don't care where it's coming from. So, and nor do I really, would it be any weirder than the soul that animates their form coming through or some other being coming from another dimension of reality? I don't think so. So this is supposedly channel material by Rasha, and it's called Oneness, and this is chapter 42. Harmony is a concept that one begins to integrate as the fullness of that experience takes precedence over the infinite shades of discord that have characterized most of this lifetime. At first, the experience seems like a novelty and is regarded with amusement, but then one becomes aware of the consistency of that state of beingness and recognizes that the next stage in one's metamorphosis is at hand. One is struck, often dramatically, by the realization that all possibilities are now viable options. And the variable that determines what is and what is not experienced is nothing more than choice. For the limitations and constraints that once may have been restricted, one's idea of what might be possible have been lifted vibrationally. And one recognizes the arrival at a stage where one's priorities may be scrutinized objectively, perhaps for the very first time. Suddenly, the world is saying yes, and instead of fending off adversity, one begins to focus on identifying what it is that one truly wants. For many, that focus shifts at this stage to one in which personal gain takes a back seat to work that emphasizes the higher perspective of the worldview. One is inclined to dedicate the major thrust of one's life to efforts where the long-term benefit to humanity is the primary consideration. One understands that one's own personal welfare will be seen to as a byproduct of that intent and need not command the primary focus of one's attention. One need not be any less prosperous in making such a shift. For the key to sustaining the manifestation of abundance under conditions where the idea of personal prosperity is irrelevant is the subtle shift in where one chooses to focus one's intent. Beings who choose to dedicate their lives to humanity or to restoring the harmony of the environment are not required to choose poverty as a demonstration of that selflessness. Circumstances will manifest quite naturally that would ensure the physical comforts of those in question when one is aligned with one's own highest purpose. The question then is not what one chooses to be doing so much as the intent with which one chooses to be doing it. When one is focused upon material gain as an end in itself, as are the majority of beings in your world, the outcome is constricted by the foundations of fear upon which scarcity is based. When one is focused upon selfless service to the higher good of all life without fear for one's own being, the highest result is manifested for all. Many who read these words will struggle with this concept, even after you have grasped the other aspects of your process. Many of you still have difficulty with the idea of abundance, despite the extent of your inner metamorphosis. Some of you actually presume that great self-sacrifice is required of you at this stage of your journey as a gesture of compensation for all you have accomplished in terms of personal growth. Nothing could be further from the truth. There's absolutely no price to be paid for your spiritual journey. For who is it that would be paying such a price? And to whom would it be paid? It is all oneness. So be very clear that if you are choosing austerity and physical deprivation as a way of demonstrating your spiritual focus, it is you and you alone who is making such a choice. It is not being asked of you, nor is it expected. For a demonstration of any kind is a statement of separation from the other you are trying to impress with your action. And there is no other. Oneness is not impressed by deprivation. Oneness is not invested in your mundane choices. Choose as you will and enjoy the results of those choices. When your heart is clear that the focus of your life is toward the highest good of all life, let it be through recognition of the oneness that unites all aspects of that life and includes you as a vital part of it. It is counterproductive to the thrust of all you would do if you approach those efforts with an altruistic attitude of self-sacrifice. You're not here as a statement of separation from life, but as a materialized statement of unification with it. You are not helping that other person in your well-meaning activity. You are helping yourself, for that self is the oneness of which you are a part, and none other. The sense of deep inner satisfaction that you may derive from efforts focused in humanitarian activity is not based on a holier-than-thou attitude towards one's fellow beings. It is based upon recognition of the sacredness of all life and a vivid awareness of the part that each and every creature plays in its portrayal. There are infinite variations on the theme that manifest as your physical reality, and none of you is any different in your core essence than any other. You simply are here to hold a particular note in the resonance that is playing as a particular symphony of experience, this here and now. How you choose to experience that aspect of the one divine presence is totally up to you. If you choose to experience your recognition of your innate divinity through an expression of austerity, then by all means do so. But be clear about your motives for that demonstration. If your purpose is to show others your level of connectedness with the one divine presence, you have defeated that purpose by demonstrating yourself to be separate from all that comprise it. If your purpose is to hide on a remote mountain top and impress only God with your austerities, know that you have succeeded only in demonstrating your separation from that source in so doing. For there's no need for you to try to earn what you already are. The more you try to prove through self-effacement the extent of your connectedness, the deeper the wedge that is driven between you and the harmony you yearn for. For harmony is achieved only within the context of unison. It cannot be achieved through acts of separation. The levels of joy that you are capable of experiencing at this stage of your journey are your birthright. There is no limit to the levels of abundance with which you may choose to gift yourself or not. It's simply a choice, and there are no higher or lower aspects of it. All are simply options within the infinite range of possibility, an endless menu from which you have been invited to select what pleases you. And when you do so from a place that honors self in that way, there is no limit to the joy that may be shared. You may choose to experience your connectedness with self in the company of another being. And then in so doing, you harmonize certain aspects of your beingness with the vibrational essence of that other person. Yet, the connectedness remains your own. And while you may travel on a parallel path with another and have certain experiences in common, your path remains your own. You may radiate the levels of your own newfound connectedness, and others may reflect what they feel in your presence. Yet, you are not required to carry those others up the mountain simply because you share a history of relationship. You have not cloned yourself in any respect in your experience of physicality. And it is not to be expected that the pace at which your growth proceeds will be duplicated by another being, regardless of how kindred the connection. Each of you comes to this lifetime with a unique set of variables that will be worked out within the context of your relationships with the world at large, as well as with each other. You will serve as the catalyst for the growth of many and the significant connections you have formed with other beings. Yet the pace at which the understandings are gleaned and integrated as knowingness varies with every exchange. You may presume that you are in certain relationships to sustain levels of harmony. Yet, as you progress on your journey, that sublime state eludes you. It is easy to fault the other person with not living up to the level of your expectations and the pace of your own journey. But do not underestimate the role that being is scripted to play for you. Harmony may well be a shared mutual objective. Yet to truly achieve it in tandem with another, it is necessary to allow the levels of density within the energy fields of each of you to rise to the surface and be released. Without a certain measure of abrasion, the smooth surface each hopes to sustain is not possible. When two beings share the sacred journey at an intimate level, each has been factored into the growth objective of the other. And relationships that at one time thrived on the ease at which the energy flowed between you are suddenly cast into turbulent waters of change. When you are aware of the nature of the process itself, you are able to step back from the intensity of certain clashes and recognize the vibrational foundation underlying it. It is far too easy to dismiss the process of another being when the dynamic does not go according to your plan and rob yourself of the potential in the clash of wills. For before real harmony can be experienced within the context of a relationship, it is necessary to allow the fullness of the energy that resonates between you to be expressed. It is no accident that some of you are sharing these times with a companion. You are the ones who have been given the tool of relationship through which to discover the intimate connection you share with your own inner being. For the intimate details of your innermost feelings are magnified for you vividly when contrasted with the conflicting priorities of a life partner. Without that catalyst, you might drift along peacefully enough, deluding yourself into believing that all was well with your world, when in fact you had managed to camouflage the very essence of your gravest challenges. No one knows you like a partner, and no one is as skilled in stimulating your issues to rise to the surface of your awareness, where there is no denying what is really there. The partner or close friend who appears to be lagging behind on his spiritual journey may well be enacting certain sacred agreements that force you to look at and see the density and patterns of denial that you've best kept hidden from yourself. It is these very issues that, as a soul approaching the interdimensional threshold, you most want to resolve, for you cannot complete the journey in a state of imbalance. Those of you in long-standing relationships that have become discordant have been gifted with a partner who has enough at stake in the relationship not to walk out when the going gets rough. Each of you has a vested interest in recreating the sense of harmony that united you in the first place. For it is through this experience with each other that you have been permitted to taste the essence of connectedness itself. This is the bond that you share with your very own sacred essence, and this is the divine connection that, ultimately, you will experience universally. When you are able to transcend the ego focus with which you have each been equipped, you are able to truly embrace another being and to recognize self in and through that connection. That does not presuppose that each of you is a duplicate of the other. That does not mean that one of you has acquiesced with regard to core issues, and it does not indicate that you have necessarily completed the work you have come together to do. The recognition of self in the form of another is an attestation to the true essence of the very differences that prove most challenging, and it is evidence of the depth of contrast without which there can be no harmony. For in order for harmony truly to be experienced, there must be the essence of difference to comprise it. There is no harmony in a vacuum, and there is no harmony in a world where all are focused solely upon their own needs, both personally and as a collective. Harmony is dependent upon a recognition of difference and a willingness to hold one's own truth intact in its presence. Until one is at the place where resonance with all life is experienced, one is relegated to the joys of harmony. For once you are able to look at another being and see no difference at all, there is no need for harmony. For here, there is only oneness. There is no other. There is nothing through which to contrast oneself and taste the joys of harmony. This is the place the story began, and this is the end toward which all consciousness now strives to return. You are destined to transcend the need for harmony and to experience the essence of isness in unison with all life. That does not mean that each of you will disappear and enter a state of non-existence, absorbed forevermore by one all-consuming consciousness. Each of you will remain in a state of self-perception for all eternity. And as you enter the states of higher awareness, each of you will be graced with self-perception. That is the essence of the oneness of which we have spoken, for we are that oneness. We are the essence of each of you, and none of you will be lost in the momentum toward reunification that unites us all. The unity is in the recognition of the other as self, not in the exclusion of any of you. None will be left behind. Not one fragment of the sacred essence of oneness will cease to have self-awareness and a sense of identity at some level of existence, for that is the divine plan. The opportunity for you who are moving through this experience of transcendence with your eyes wide open is to see that the concept of unification and oneness is not to be interpreted in a physical sense. Rather, it is an experiential journey. Some will choose to experience that awareness through the context of form, and in so doing will taste the concept of difference and experience the delights of harmony. Others will be content to remain within the embrace of the energy of isness, perceiving themselves individually despite the absence of physical evidence, and at the same time knowing themselves to be one with all life. What will have changed is the nature of what will be experienced, and by whom. Ultimately, the dictates of the laws of karma will have been relegated to a page in linear history. Those energies will have been brought to completion in the fullness of time within the context of the physical realms in which those dramas were enacted. They will no longer color the experience of those who choose to taste their divinity in physical form. Your physical realms will not cease to exist in the world to come. They simply will have experienced a spiritual transformation. They will offer the spiritual travelers amongst you a destination through which to rediscover your sacred essence in physical form under optimal conditions. There will no longer be the need to experience that which you are not in order to recognize, by contrast, that which you are. For all will be fully aware of the nature of self and will recognize the oneness in all life. That is the nature of the world that you may or may not choose to experience at a higher dimensional level in the times to come. You will not be sentenced to a physical lifetime as a means of karmic compensation, for vibrationally, the slate will have been wiped clean. Naturally, there will not be nearly the number of beings experiencing physical incarnation as there are in the present period, for given the option of remaining within the essence of eternal oneness, relatively few will opt for the adventure of the world of physical experience. Those realms will have returned to the sanctity of a world uncompromised by conflict and unscarred by its inevitable aftermath. For the mass consciousness will have altered its collective mindset significantly, and the perception of your world as it now is will manifest in the awareness of few. We are in the final moments of those times. The others of you who have helped with your collective presence to sustain the vibration of the realities in which you have experienced yourself in this lifetime will have moved on. You have taken yourself vibrationally out of the range where perception of such conditions was possible. You will have ascended. For reality is only as each of you experiences it. The nature of your world is no more and no less than a reflection of the composite vision of the consciousness present. In the times to come, the nature of the consciousness present will have transformed, and the world that reflects it, in which you may choose to experience life, will resonate accordingly. This world in the times to come will radiate the essence of harmony. It will hold the resonant frequency of the higher non-physical realms, and thus will be the heaven on earth that has been prophesied throughout your history for the days to come. Not because some big almighty God who is up there in the sky somewhere made it that way, but because you, each of you, exercised your divine will in harmony with divine intent. It is you who will have created this world anew by recognizing yourself as oneness and resonating as one, just as it was in the beginning. All right. Well, that's the end of chapter 42. How'd you like it? I liked it a lot. I like that view. I hope you like it too. You know, the thing we can do to usher it in is to be it now, take that perspective that's shared there at the end. And as I often say, everywhere you go, you're there waiting for yourself, and really, really applying that to your life and resonating with this heaven on earth that we all know is coming. We've all felt, we've all heard about. It's been prophesized. It's part of the journey back to oneness. So let's resonate with it now. Let's call it in vibrationally now. You're so powerful. If you feel sometimes, people oftentimes even have written into the show, I listen to the news and I feel so disempowered and angry and disconnected and the world's so screwed up. I can't do anything. My hands are tied. I'm powerless. No, you're not. You can manage your vibration. You can get into vibrational alignment with this vision of heaven on earth. You can be it, and then you'll see it. That's how it works. You manage your vibration. Be it now. Drum up the vibration of it now. It's so powerful. You are anchoring that vibration into these apparently turbulent times on planet Earth. You are the one who's here, who's chosen yourself to anchor in this new energy. And I applaud you for doing so. It makes me so happy to be on your team, and it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? We're out of imaginary time for this podcast, but there's always more where that came from, so I'll be back. In the meantime, I have a track to leave you with. La Belle is the artist. Soul Introspection is the song. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well. Love you all so much. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.